Will Jumanji The Next Level topple The Rise of Skywalker this month at the box office? That's the headline and question I'll be pondering on today's MBE Movie News. And yes guys, as I did say, I am of course John from MBE. Incidentally, the question I'm going to be pondering is whether it can topple The Rise of Skywalker at the box office in a matter of a week or so. It is set to come out. A producer from the aforementioned Jumanji has been speaking about why they are not worried, or were never worried, about going toe to toe with Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker at the box office this month. And in short, he's looking back a year or so, a year and a half back, to the similar setup we had with The Last Jedi and the original, well, not the original Jumanji, that was 95 with Alan Parrish, but Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, where it managed, if I can speak, to topple The Last Jedi at the box office. Well, I think overall The Last Jedi did better, but in terms of raw performance, I think most people would have gave the win to Jumanji. It was unexpected, the movie, the actual contents from an artistic perspective. It was an unexpected experience. No one thought that they needed another Jumanji movie in their life after the late great Robin Williams delivered one of his more memorable performances as Alan Parrish. And when it came along, I think everyone was taken aback. I personally was taken aback myself. I went to see it a couple of times in the cinema. I thought it was a really enjoyable action flick, and the way they utilised the body swapping storyline, just taking characters from the outside this game who are completely different to the characters that are being portrayed as avatars in the game. It was a unique little concept that kept the story fresh. It gave us a new slant on things, and then you got the likes of Dwayne Johnson playing a smaller version of himself, but he's also Dwayne Johnson, but the character, you know what I'm saying, the character was different outside. And it just allowed the actors to test the boundaries of the characters, to test their acting range wonderfully. I really enjoyed it. Now, do I believe that it will topple The Last Jedi, or the Rise of Skywalker, like it toppled The Last Jedi? Well, no, I don't actually. And the reason for that primarily is one that I'll get into in a little while. The early critical reviews have come out for the movie, and it's kind of a mix, that has to be said. It's not an overwhelming win for this movie, the early response. But I think purely because The Rise of Skywalker is being helmed by J.J. Abrams, and it has been titled as the end of the Skywalker saga, I feel like this will give this final sequel trilogy movie a little bit extra push that needs to see off the competition at the box office this month. Something that was missing with The Last Jedi. There was great anticipation for the movie. Many people were looking forward to seeing what Rian Johnson could bring to the Star Wars universe, being a renowned independent filmmaker. And then when the early word of mouth came out that it wasn't as impressive as we were all anticipating it would be, I think that really hurt this movie in terms of raw success at the box office. I think word of mouth killed it, essentially, after what had happened to Luke Skywalker's character. The continuation from The Force Awakens, that epic final shot, swirling around the island of Act 2, or on Act 2, and then to go to that and have a sort of terrible, out of tone, out of place comedy, just from the actual prank call at the start as well. I think that really hurt the success of that movie. Fans were put off. Casual audience members went and supported it. The hardcore fans evaporated. They never went back and watched it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Some people go and watch these movies 15, 20 times, and that never happened with The Last Jedi. And I feel like that was a real underlying reason behind why perhaps Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle managed to topple it fairly early on in its stint at the box office and maintain that number one position for a longer period than perhaps The Last Jedi. And I think it's perhaps the reason why the next level will not be able to repeat that form and perhaps be the all-out king in December like Welcome to the Jungle was, obviously beside The Rise of Skywalker. Now, this producer himself, I went off on a massive tangent. He has says you don't know if you're going to get kind of lost in this tide away, and we started to realise all of a sudden that, you know, the fans are really loving this, and they did. I hit upon that. I really enjoyed it. we do have something special here, a testament to Jake Kasdan and to the cast as well, where everyone loved the idea of doing another one. You just had to be right. Like Matt Tomac, that is, what I was saying, it is like it has to be worthy of telling the story. It wasn't just going to be a quick grab of like, oh, let's just do another sequel. We created something special, and that is really at the heart of it. They are confident in what they have as well. Not only are they getting the confidence from it, seeing off The Last Jedi a couple of years back, but they're confident that the core story they have, this concept, this blockbuster cast with Gillen, with Johnson, Hart and Black there, and a few other faces coming in, they feel like they have enough star power there to go toe to toe with a Rise of Skywalker, and perhaps, if not topple it, at least maintain performance for longer than it should, and do better than other movies which would be put up against it. Not many studios would have the balls to put their movie up against a Disney tentpole movie in the middle of December. It's a ballsy move, and you've got to really applaud Sony for taking the chance with this movie. I think they realise there is a fan base there now that wasn't there 2.5 years ago for a Jumanji movie. And look, the promotion for this movie has been pretty good. It's been funny. It's highlighted all of the gang coming back together, getting more of the same. Now, whether it is ultimately a better movie than Welcome to the Jungle, we'll truly tell, and I'm going to get into that right now actually, because there has been early reviews, as I did hit upon earlier on, came out, and they're speaking about the movie, and yeah, it's not glowing. There is a lot of praise for this movie, but there is equal amounts of criticism as well. One person from Cinema Blend, incidentally, where this article is coming from, says it has fun. It still has fun and entertainment going for it, but in a way that feels much more familiar and safe rather than surprising. And look, it's like when a studio gets a concept like this, they just run off with it, and they'll try and go for the same. They'll try to play it safe. They're not wanting to expand out and risk hitting the bottom line. That's just something it's not realistic, let's be honest. Now we have another one coming in from the Hollywood Reporter, and they have says it doesn't have the surprise factor of that last movie and sometimes feels rough around the edges, but the next level pushes its body swap antics even further to deliver just as many laughs. And look, I did hit upon that as well, or upon that if I can speak. I really enjoyed the body swapping antics. That's one of the main things from that movie that really struck me, just pushing the actors, as I did say, to the absolute limits. We had Jack Black playing a female character, just the hilarity that came from that as well. Changing up the concept of getting into the game as well. We never actually got to see inside the world of Jumanji. It came out to meet the real world, if you like, and the carnage that ensued from that. It was a cool concept, having it all taking place inside the house. So they swapped up a couple of things, and as I did say about the previous review as well, they get real success from it, surprise success. It was immediately greenlit, this sequel, and they'll want to try and maintain that, and whilst changing it up a little bit, not go too far as to perhaps piss off the fan base they've developed over the last year and a half. Someone else says this instalment is a clear case of diminishing returns, but enjoyable action set pieces and a surprise or two near the end should keep parental grousing to a minimum now. Yeah, that's quite optimistic. That's got my anticipatory juices flowing a little bit more. It's safe, but it's diminishing returns, but there's enough in there to make it an entertaining flick. Now, I'm not going to go through every single review. I'll do maybe one or two more. This one coming in from Forbes, a trusted place I always like to go to for box office and all array of entertainment news. Says the next level is otherwise sweaty in its attempts to make its real world characters and their choices remotely compelling, and their video game exploits exciting. If there's a third movie, they should figure out the story to start. Now, I don't know what that means. Perhaps they're saying they've went gung-ho, took the idea of these characters as a base and then developed the story out from that. And that's, like, that can work both ways. When you've got the acting talent of Dwayne Johnson in there, and the great chemistry he has with the likes of Kevin Hart, and the characters are familiar enough that the audience immediately is attached to them, the bond's there from the get-go, and look, you could perhaps be afforded the luxury of creating a story around the characters and not necessarily having a bona fide foundation there to place the characters into. It can be done both ways, and we can have an entertaining movie regardless, so I'm not too downtrodden about that. Look, the rest of them are really just going through and saying the same thing. It feels like a rehash, but it's still got a degree of freshness in there to keep the antics and the hilarity going furthermore. In terms of raw Rotten Tomato scores, it's currently sitting at 76% after 42 reviews counted. Now, in comparison to Welcome of the Jungle, it had 76% from over 220 reviews counted, so it's already faces an uphill task to maintain the score that it had from the previous movie. So it looks like as the more reviews come in, it may go down a little bit more, may sit around that mid-60s to high 60s percentage mark, and that's still a good movie. You tend to find every sequel gives you diminishing returns, unless it's something strange like perhaps The Lord of the Rings or maybe even The Godfather, where the second increment in the trilogy or the franchise is exponentially better than the first. But it's a rare thing, so I'm not too downtrodden. Now, I was going to do a brief little thing about The Rock trying to cut a wrestling promo, but he's too kind. Again, ramping up the competition between Star Wars and Jumanji, obviously the next level. But I can't be asked, to be quite frank. I've spoke about Jumanji enough. Essentially, just hitting home on what I was speaking about before, the confidence that they have and what they have in terms of story, of franchise, of popularity amongst its fan base. They feel that they can take on Star Wars, and look, time will tell whether that is indeed the case. I love Star Wars. I've been loving Star Wars for 25 years of my life, since I was 5 years old. So I've got a real preference for a hit to end on a high, take these characters and maybe redeem some of the elements which I disliked from The Last Jedi. So I would rather see The Rise of Skywalker win out the battle in December. But look, I really enjoyed Jumanji, then Welcome to the Jungle as well. So I'd like to see a continuation for these characters, and hopefully it's a fun, enjoyable family flick, which we can all get on board with. And yeah, speaking about Star Wars though, I'm going to move on to the next topic, and it's John Boyega. It's going to be at the heart of it. He has been speaking about The Last Jedi. He's finally admitted his true feelings on it. He says that some elements of it were iffy, to summarise, but I will dig into the full quote. Now, he says, "The Force Awakens, I think, was the beginning of something quite solid. The Last Jedi, if I'm being honest, I'd say that was a little bit iffy to me." Well, I'd agree with you, John, but we'll continue on. Maybe it's the John thing. We've got a shared similarity, a shared appreciation of certain elements in the movie, and a similar disdain for others. But I digress. He's went on and said further that I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the choices in that movie, and that's something that I'd spoke to Mark Hamill a lot about, and we had conversations about it, and it was hard for all of us because we were separated. Now, yeah, that was something I never really thought about as well, this compartmentalisation of the different acting units, perhaps in the Rise of Skywalker, or the Last Jedi, sorry. I'm getting all discombobulated here. I want to keep swapping these movies around. Just this concept of them being off in different places, it never struck me as being a thing, but I suppose it would be, now looking at it. With Mark being very much on Act 2, with Rey, and those weird little nunny caretaker figures, he'd be off doing his scenes. John would be off doing his scenes with obviously Kelly Marie Tran, Rose Tico, and obviously Benicio del Toro's DJ character. And then you'd perhaps have the likes of Oscar Isaac and Carrie Fisher and Laura Dern and whatnot all coming in and doing the scenes with them. They'd be off doing different things, and that would be fractured. It'd be a strange setup to try and build cohesion and chemistry amongst the acting. Fringe, if you'd like, in the movie. It's not really something that would be great for building a harmonious cast. So as a purely chemistry thing on the set, I can understand what he's saying. In terms of storytelling, I also agree with him. There was many iffy things in that movie, and look, I'm glad to see that John has come out and spoke about this, because I've been maintaining for the last 18 months that whilst there is elements of this movie which are undoubtedly gorgeous, the visuals, the scoring, a lot of people gave John Williams shit about his scoring on that movie. I don't know what crack they were taking. The score is magnificent in The Last Jedi. The way that he utilised old themes, rejuvenated them, in some cases completely reworked with the Imperial March and the Spark. It was an uplifting, more goody two-shoes version of that. I thought the score was wonderful. But if there's one thing that was absolute dog shit in that movie, it was the handling of Finn. That character was eviscerated in The Last Jedi. It was a disgrace what Rian Johnson did to him. He made him a side player, superfluous to the main story. He went off on a superfluous jaunt with Rose Tico to the horrific world of Canto Bight. It looked like it harkening back to the prequel era, but it wasn't as good as the prequel era. It was a PETA, anti-animal cruelty advert. And then we introduced Benicio del Toro's horrendous DJ character. How you can take a guy of that calibre, such an incredibly talented actor, and marginalise him into being such a shit stuttering wreck of a druggie in that movie was beyond me. But yeah, I completely agree with John Boyega. His character was drastically destroyed in that movie. He was so exciting in The Force Awakens. He was full of energy, he was cracking jokes, he had wonderful chemistry with Harrison Ford. It's Han Solo, obviously. And for him to then go to The Last Jedi and just be this marginalised, horrific thing where he's going off into a shite journey that ended up doing nothing, it went nowhere. And then he has this tacky, rushed, totally non-existent romantic arc with Rose Tico, flung in for good measure. It was a disgrace what they did to his character. It was a disgrace what they did to a lot of legacy aspects in the movie. And he's right, there's iffy things in there, and I'm glad to see that the cast is finally, in summary or in conclusion, that's the word I'm looking for, that the cast is finally coming out and saying their mind on the movie, because it's not a great movie, it really isn't. It's really, and it hurts me to say it because I really like Rian Johnson. I loved Knives Out, I loved Brick, I loved Looper. I'm a big fan of the guy's work when he gets it right, but he didn't get it right in The Last Jedi. And hats off to John for speaking his mind on it. But look, not much more to add. It's a short and sweet little topic. I'm going to move back to Jesus Christ, DC again. I speak about them every day near enough. This time I'm speaking about the Batman. It has got a working title, and it's perhaps revealing new story details, they say over its Screen Rant. Now the working title in short is Vengeance. Now they are saying that whilst this could be something that has no meaning whatsoever, which we have seen in the past, I think it was Steamboat or something, or Steam City or some crap like that for Ghostbusters Afterlife, and obviously Blue Harvest I think was The Empire Strikes Back. No connection whatsoever to what was going on in terms of story elements in the movie or whatnot. They also say though that the flip of the coin, that it could be that this is given as a hint at what the Caped Crusader's journey is going to be in this movie. It's going to be one of vengeance, that Robert Pattinson's character, very much still young and not as a mature and grizzled a figure as perhaps even Christian Bale's take on obviously Bruce Wayne, or the much older, wiser, been there and done it, obviously Ben Affleck take on the character. He's going to be a younger, green-nosed version of this character. Maybe he is seeking vengeance for the deaths of the Waynes, his Martha and obviously Thomas Wayne. Maybe it is looking into it, I don't know, I have no insight on it, but it's very interesting because I love to hear about all the little minutiae details and the intricacies of production behind the scenes of big movies like this, right all the way down to working titles. I really love hearing about things like this. And Vengeance, it feels like perhaps it's too on the nose, that Matt Reeves would have realised that people would have get a hold of this and put two and two together and made 20. But at the same time, maybe he's being clever and giving the fans a little Easter egg, an early dose of what we can expect in this movie. And look, I for one hope it is meaningful to the movie, because I would love to see a vengeful Bruce Wayne again. I'd love to see him young, getting out to fight the world. And look, when you look at what they're doing in the movie, there is certainly elements within the story, the casting and some decision making around this movie that would tie in to a story of vengeance. We're bringing in the likes of Falcone, we've brought in the Penguin, we've got the Riddler in there, God knows who else have we got. I think we've got the likes of Catwoman in there as well, for sure she's in, and there's a whole host of villains popping up in this movie. So vengeance could be on the cards. He comes in, or maybe back to the city, he's out to seek vengeance for his mother and father, and perhaps he's going to go down a detective route, find out who's at fault for it, maybe ascertain that it is the Penguin, and then go after him with all his vengeance. I'd love to see it. And look, I'm really excited about this movie in general, because there's been another casting announcement on this movie, and Peter Sarsgaard, he's not a Skarsgård. Peter Sarsgaard has been cast, presumed to be playing Harvey Dent in this movie. Another wonderful casting choice by Matt Reeves, and the casting director on this deserves some pay rise, because they are doing a truly wonderful job. They are picking the most incredible cast that I've probably seen this side of Murder on the Orient Express, or perhaps even Knives Out. It's just incredible, and they all feel right for the roles as well. It's so rare for them to pick out various different names and just nail the roles. Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth feels right. Colin Farrell as the Penguin feels right. Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon just feels right. And now Peter Sarsgaard as Harvey Dent. It feels right. And I'm excited for the movie, and hopefully it is one of vengeance that we are going to be seeing coming. Because I want to see Batman in any vein. I don't care. It could be him sitting making little dandelion bracelets somewhere in Central Park, if it even exists in Gotham. Lord knows, is that Metropolis? I don't know. Metropolis. But look guys, I'm going to move on very, very quickly. But not so quickly that I can't have some iron brew in my life. You know, I'm Scottish, I love it. To the final topic. This will be very short and sweet, and that's probably a good thing, because I'm not as well versed on this topic as I am on Star Wars and my love for Batman. This one is all about Freddy Krueger and why a Nightmare on Elm Street movie could do well to retcon everything like we seen in Halloween 2018. Now, this is coming from Screen Rant. Essentially what they're saying is these two franchises follow a very similar life story in terms of where the franchises went after really great original movies. They went to absolute shit. We got Shit House, Shit Hawk, whatever the hell you want to call it, sequel after sequel after sequel, and it really went further and further into this paranormal aspect, over the top story and mythology surrounding this character, when really what they should have been doing is keeping the story as simple as possible and focusing on the boogeyman element of Freddy Krueger, and obviously the Shape and Michael Myers. Having a mare here, guys. Just maintaining this single, very much real figure who's, well, in Freddy's case, he's not real, he's a dream demon, if you'd like. But you know, keeping it a boogeyman, keeping it simple, not going off and making it all shit and psychological and paranormal and all that crap. And yeah, they're saying that the best thing that they could do, if they are indeed, it's been rumoured, and incidentally, I've not really introduced this topic very well, that we are getting a new Freddy Krueger movie, perhaps a new Nightmare on Elm Street centric movie, and it could be a quasi sequel. And they are firmly for that at Screen Rant. They want to see a quasi sequel like we've seen with Halloween 2018. And I agree. Look, I really was terrified by this character growing up. It haunted my dreams, which is quite ironic because that's what he does. Robert Englund made my childhood an absolute nightmare, which again, pardon the pun, Nightmare on Elm Street. In my case, Nightmare in 10 Thornhill Path in Glasgow. It haunted me, and I'd love to see them going back, because I've seen the Dream Warrior aspect as well. It was shit, it was terrible, it's god awful. So I'd love them to go back to basics, completely retcon all of those horrid sequels and take it from the original onwards. And I really like the idea as well, which goes off in a little side tangent in this article. It may even be another article where Robert Englund himself has apparently been parroting that he wants Kevin Bacon to come in and play a younger version of Freddy before he dies and becomes some dream-haunting demon. I think that's magical. That is an incredible idea. I would love to see Kevin Bacon playing a young Freddy Krueger. I keep wanting to say Freddie Mercury, I don't know why. Freddy's haunting my dreams just now. I think it'd be great, even though he's in his 60s, Kevin, he just looks he looks eternally youthful. I think it's a great idea. They'd say rightly in the article that he's played an array of interesting and despicable characters, like that paedophile character in that one, the Woodsman, I think it was, or something. And he's played a whole array of different characters, and he can really play an antagonist very well. So I'd love to see him playing Freddy Krueger if they go down that route. Doing a prequel would be very interesting as well. That would take a story off in a completely different route to what we perhaps have seen in the sequels and the shit ones at that. So that'd be cool. I'd like to see a prequel. If they don't do it though, then a quasi-sequel doing similar to what we had in Halloween 2018. And perhaps we can see this franchise being rejuvenated, having a renaissance like we've got with Halloween. And look, time will tell though. I'm no clairvoyant chap. I've not got an oracle in front of me, a crystal ball. So I can't say what plans they have in store. I think it's the company who's involved is, or the estate that is involved is the Wes Craven estate, because it's the director himself, Wes Craven, of course. So time will tell on that one. And I'm very excited to see which direction they take regardless. See if it can bring back some of that fear that I had when I was a child. But look guys, I'm done on this show for today. I'm finished. I have no more to say. What the hell do you guys make about the Jumanji, the next level stories that I spoke about? Do you think it can reign supreme this month ahead of The Rise of Skywalker? What is your thoughts on this whole nonsense about Freddy Krueger and John Boyega, his take on The Last Jedi? Is he right? Was that movie iffy? He said release. What's your thoughts on the Batman as well? Is this going to be a movie of vengeance? If you've got anything to say, you can comment below and let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying content like this. If you do, then you'll see me again tomorrow with MBE Movie News and the Blog Rundown.